okay, then you can get injured. And that's why you need a therapist or a clinician that's prescribing that movement for you, okay? Most of the public are educated to some degree, and some have had some coaching. But I work with top-level CrossFitters, and their squat is not optimal. Okay, one of my clients is the 4th best in the world at CrossFit. Okay, but his squat is still not optimal. We're still tweaking it, we're still working it. Now he can move beautifully, however, it's not optimal. And if his squat isn't optimal, and he can lift weights and do things that I've never seen any other human do, then chances are yours isn't, and neither is your client's. So what we want to do is we want to look at expert opinion, you the experts in the room, okay? Then we look at the data and the literature, and then we make our interpretation of that data, okay? Making sure that we're informed by the evidence and we're not shackled by the evidence, yeah? So are squats dangerous? We'll see that once more, it's good, isn't it? Okay, that's what we call the squat somersault. That's a bad example, and that's why we have this. People are injuring themselves doing squats every day. Okay, so we need to prevent that. As the therapy family, we need to come together and talk about why people are injuring themselves. There's also a big talk about neutral spine, and we can't disregard the biomechanics. If you are going to flex the spine, you are putting anterior load on the spine. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a posterior lateral disc bulge, okay? But it means that you're stressing the spine biomechanically, okay? If you are overextended, it doesn't mean you're going to get facet joint syndrome, but you are influencing the facet joints. So we can't disregard biomechanics, although they're not very fashionable at the moment. But we still got to think about them. And obviously, this slide is a bit of a joke, isn't it? Okay, it was designed to show you that we can't maintain a neutral spine in anything we do, and we shouldn't be trying to be hyper-vigilant of that neutral spine position. So that hasn't come out as well as hoped, but there are various studies from CrossFit that show you where CrossFitters are getting injured. And the majority of CrossFitters, if you've seen any of my presentations, okay, it's going to be the shoulder, the lower back, and the knee. And those 3 areas are most vulnerable during the squat. I treat a lot of athletes that injure themselves from just doing squatting, okay? So it's important that we know, we're informed from the literature, that those 3 joints that are involved with squatting are also the 3 joints that are commonly injured in intense sports. So are squats a bad exercise? Little message from my mentors. Okay, so I've got 2 mentors, Paul Check. Anyone heard of Paul Check? Yeah, the original functional movement, okay? And then Lee Harrington, who's my boss at the University of Salford. So Paul says we're bad at prescribing exercise. Lee says you can prescribe anything as long as you're adapted to it, okay? And I would say that bad exercise ends when education and empowerment begins, okay? If you can get somebody right at the start of their sport career, you can stop them getting injured, ingrain that good movement pattern before we start doing all this horrible looking movements, yeah? Okay, so based on a paper from my colleague Paul Comfort on the optimal squat position 2018, that they revisited that, the literature says that we're looking at full natural depth. So that's the natural depth that you want to go to, and it's a natural foot position. Okay, feet shoulder width apart seems to be optimal for most people, but not all, okay? And we want unrestricted anterior movement of the knees, which might be controversial to some of you in terms of knee alignment, okay? We want the trunk as upright as we can, but bearing in mind, if we're back squatting, that trunk position is not going to be as upright as it is in a front squat, and we want to make sure that we're looking at the horizon and we're not looking down, we're looking up, but not overextension. We don't want an extension fault or a flexion fault, because that's going to compromise us potentially neurologically, which will compromise our motor unit recruitment. Okay, so what we're going to cover, this is the most important slide. Get your camera out now. Okay, this is the checklist, the take-home one. This is what you need. Okay.